Andrew O'Connor Watts, I'm with you on the Magic, but give me your cap. You get first pick on the handicap. Why do you like Magic minus 7.5 as they take on the Brooklyn Nets?
Yeah, I think it's just a good get right spot for them after kind of an embarrassing loss to the Hawks. They're the best ATS team in the league. The Hawks are the worst ATS team in the league. And, I think it was just a good spot for the Hawks where Trey, it's his first game out. Trey is one of those guys where when he's out, I already kind of like backing teams when their best player is out, just as a kind of motivation spot for the rest of the guys. But specifically with the Hawks, they are like, I mean, they barely drop off at all with him out, with Trae Young out. So I think it was just a weird spot in that particular moment. But the Magic are 8-2 this season at home off a loss. And coming off a road loss. So coming off a road loss and coming back home, like generally I'm not looking to back teams after a 3-game road trip and they're coming back home. This is their first game, which the Magic are in that situation right now. However, this Magic team, gritty, well coached, love what Mosley's doing with them. They are 10-7 against the spread off a road loss and coming home. So, and that's 3-2 this season as well. If we look at the Nets, they're a bottom 10 ATS team. They're a little better than they played lately. They're looking like they're about to get their first win under Kevin Ollie. But I mean, the Memphis Grizzlies are terrible, and the Nets off a win, assuming that they don't blow this gigantic lead. The Nets off a win are 8-11-2. So, I mentioned Paolo. Paolo was out last game for the Magic. He is still questionable. Make sure you watch that injury report, like Jay said, just to make sure. I do kind of like it even without Paolo because I know the number will move and they're just a much better team than the Magic. But either way, you need to make sure that you know what you're betting into. So this isn't one where I would like, oh, I think Paolo plays, so I'll bet it now. Wait till you know he's in or out and then bet whatever that number moves to. So that's why I like the Magic minus 7.5.
Magic versus teams under 500, 23-12, 66% against the spread this season. They love beating up on these bad teams. They're really good in those spots. You mentioned that stat. What was the stat for them on the road after a road loss?
Yeah, so after a road loss coming home, they're 10-7 ATS in the last 2 seasons. That's the last 2 seasons, 3-2 this season. So small sample size, but
right. Yeah. Well, I got one for this season though. This season, how about 16-9 after a loss ATS, 13-12 straight up, but 16-9 ATS. They respond really well at 64%. Trends like this play, I think this number is probably indicative of the Paolo questionable because, but here's the thing. He's got an illness. They're gonna flush him with vitamin C. Like he'll be fine. Like he played the other night, he hit the game winner, got sick. They'll flush him with antibiotics and IVs and get him good to go. It's rare that guys miss more than a game with an illness. I make this 10.5. So even if Paolo's out, there's no way that this is going to jump to double digits. It's going to be like this might jump to 9, like a 1.5 wouldn't surprise me. Like Paolo being worth 3 sounds about right. So if this is in the middle, like we talk about a lot on here, that's a 1.5. I'll put it 9. I've still got 1.5 diff on where I've got this game projected. Now, part of that, it's like I manually just like bottomed out the Nets today. I was just like, okay, they're done, and they're killing the Grizzlies because the Grizzlies are also done. Jay, I am curious as to your thoughts on this. Are we getting suckered in here by an obvious spot, or who do you like in Magic Nuts? If you had a lean.
Well, it's a double revenge spot for the Magic here, and they have the rest advantage, and they're coming off a loss as well. I do expect Banchero to be back. He was actually sick in that game versus the Pistons, and that's why I kind of knew that he wasn't going to play in the next game on the back-to-back versus Atlanta. Like he was saying himself, like I'm sick as So he didn't even travel to Atlanta. He went to the house to rest up. He should be good to go for this game. So this is one that I'd probably take sooner than later, because when he is announced in, it'll definitely go up to 8.5, 9 for sure. And you could also possibly get like probably Ben Simmons is probably going to sit out. Not that it's going to matter, but it's as far as the point spread, it's going to go up even more once the Nets maybe rule somebody out as well. Last game of a 5-game road trip as well. I know that still 4 coming out of the break, which one of those games were before the break. But yeah, I could only look towards the Magic in this game. They have like I say, they lost twice already this year to the Brooklyn Nets. So double revenge coming off a loss with the rest advantage. Could only look towards laying the points with Orlando here.